Hey friends, welcome back to another exciting episode of Friends of the Squared Circle. I'm your host, Crander Q, aka my real name. Now, as you can see, we've got two friends in studio today. We got Nakoma and Megan returning for another episode. If you want to be just like them and be featured on your own episode, hit us up at Facebook, send us a message today, and we will get you on your very own episode of Friends of the Squared Circle. Nakoma, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing amazing. Been trying to stay cool since, the weather has been pretty crazy lately with this heat, but I've been doing great.
Now, have you been on a podcast before, or is this your first time?
No, I've been on quite a few podcasts through the years, and I'm honored. I'm honored to be here, honestly.
Perfect. This is my very first podcast. I'm a little nervous, so bear with me here. And Megan, welcome back to Friends of the Squared Circle. How are you doing? What's new with you today?
I'm doing pretty good. Like Nakoma said, just trying to stay cool. Life has been so busy. A lot of great things happening right now. MPW's taking off. We just had a really great fundraiser show and tore the house down. And now we're getting ready for another really big event for us that's really going to put us on the map. So busy, but good.
Awesome. Now, before we dive into some questions that Megan has here, friends, we're going to dive into Nakoma's, wrestling memories, wrestling experiences. So what are some of those earliest memories, Nakoma, that got you excited about wrestling?
So when I was younger, I have an older brother. Not many people know that about me, but I have an older brother, and me and him used to watch wrestling as a kid. And we used to wrestle around downstairs and try to copy the matches. And, typical, we always get yelled at by our parents. But honestly, my very first memories is my first step into the building that I first trained at. And, well, we all call him Sergeant Muldoon, but John Callahan, who was on WWF back in the day, he was one of my trainers, and he made me believe in myself, and he's done a lot for me through the years. When I first started training at the school, I can't mention the name of the school at the moment. I apologize, but he's done a lot for me. He made me believe in myself through a hard time back then, and I just want to give a shout out to John Callahan and say that I appreciate everything you've done and I was a pain in the butt back then. I'm not gonna lie, I was a pain, but he made me believe in myself and pushed me to my limits, and now I try to keep doing that on my own. But yeah, my first memories is just stepping inside school, how terrified I was, because I was the only female. I was the only female for, I want to say, 8 to 9 years.
Oh, wow.
And there'll be a female here and there that'll pop in, but they didn't last long, sadly. But I've been wrestling there for so long, and it was such a huge family. I felt like I was a part of something once again in a dark time, when I was younger. But that journey has definitely pushed me to bigger and better things.
Let's touch on that quick. So you mentioned that other female wrestlers would pop in and out. Was that encouraging? Was it, disappointing? How did it make you feel? Because now we're seeing a wrestling boom, not only in, AEW, WWE, TNA, NWA, and there's so many great women talent out there. How did it, resonate with you back then, being the only female in that school?
Honestly, being a female in the business in general, you need to have a pair of what. So It's not meant for everyone. Not every female, not every person, male or female, really. It's not always meant for them. So it's always good to at least try it, just to say that you did it. And because it's not just a physical thing when you do wrestling, it's mental, emotional. It's a huge journey, and people don't realize that. They think it's just, we just get in the ring and have fun. But once they get a real taste of what it takes to be a wrestler and actually go through with it, it takes a toll on you, and not many people are built for it. And I tried, when those females did come through those doors, I tried my best to have them keep pushing and pushing, just like how John did, how Sarge did for me. And like I said, not everybody has that mental, emotional, physical, drive. And, it kind of sucks. But I mean, you're proud of them at the same time because at least they did step through the door. Because honestly, the hardest thing you can do is take a step through those doors. It's not easy, building that courage and just being able to step in the ring with a bunch of people who you don't know, who have been doing it for years and can do all these fancy moves that you can't do right now. It's intimidating. So the fact that they actually stepped in that door and actually went and tried out and tried it, I'm happy. I'm proud of them. Even if they didn't last very long, it's still, a win-win. I mean, not only for me, but for them. So it's not always a bad thing. I mean, sure, of course, we can use some more females in this business, but but yeah, no, it was an honor to at least meet these people because every person you meet in this business, you learn from them regardless how long you've known them. Even if it's been a conversation like with me and Meg. I first met her, I learned a little bit about her, personally and business-wise, and we're best friends pretty much at this point. We share a lot.
I was going to say, Nakoma actually taught me how to get in and out of the ring. Okay. When I first met her at the first MPW show, I'm like, I'm just going to stand over here. And my husband, who's also the booker for MPW, said, no, there's championship matches. You need to be in the ring. And I'm like, okay. So we had one of our friends was wrestling and he's like, oh, I'll show you. And he taught me how to not to sound weird, but how to do it like a dude. And I'm like, I'm wearing a dress. This isn't going to work. And Nakoma's like, I got this. Hold on. And then she looks at my feet and she's like, I got better shoes for you too. Hold on. And she goes, fixes my shoes, make sure I got a nice, entrance and stuff. And now it's one of my favorite entrances to do, because it just adds to my little facade that I have to get people going for the show. But yeah, she's taught me a bunch. So, I mean, it's just been a great working relationship really between the two of us. So.
And that's the beautiful thing is that sometimes by the subtleties and the little things, you're learning such a big thing. I mentioned it on the episode with the fabulous Kiki Roberts, how, listening to Teddy Long critique everybody for not being in gimmicks at their table and the dude's in sweats and a tank top, yet he plays, I'm just going to say it as a joke because it's not his real gimmick, he's a ninja wrestler, but he's not in his ninja guard. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to, throw shade at him, But it's just be in the gimmick. Be out there so people can see the person that you're trying to portray. And that made me think, what does my table look like? Is my table organized? Is it clean? What is the perception of people coming up to my table? Am I organized? Do I know what I'm doing? Half the time, no, but I'm trying to give off that appearance that I have some sort of understanding of what's happening, and just a switch of shoes, how to get in the ring, those are things that you're going to carry and help the next person. You know what I mean? So, and make it, whoops.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but especially being a female in this business, we have to have each other's backs as well. Because it is hard being in a male dominated business and everything like that. Cause not everybody will have your back. I mean, I learned that the hard way, growing up through this business, and I kind of dealt with a lot of things on my own. But now that I kind of had my eyes open at such a young age in this business, I try to look out for others and I try to make them realize that we need to look out for each other. I understand, yes, we're all trying to make the one place and it is kind of like a competition, but we still need to have each other's backs and support each other and help each other build, because we do need to stand up and look like legitimate wrestlers rather than just, a piece of meat in the ring or just a beautiful face, whatever, because we're all more than that. So I try to make people realize, let's not be catty towards each other. Let's actually be a family like we're meant to be. So whenever I meet people in general of any kind, male, female, whatever, I try to make sure I get to know them, because again, when I first started, I was kind of a loner. I kind of kept people away. And throughout the years, I started realizing, like I said, open my eyes to things. I want to try and build my own little family.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help other people out because that's how you get, better, is by helping
Right.
each other out. Some people may have more information about certain things than others. I mean, I'm not perfect. I've been in the business for 10 years. I'm still learning to this day.
Mm-hmm.
There's always room to learn. So,
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing I do with the podcasting too is, I've learned tips and tricks to get the followers, to find the people to interview. Whereas Megan has, suggested certain people to me and that I follow. That's her way of helping like talent in her area also get recognition, get the follows, and those are the secrets that I pass on to my podcast friends because at the end of the day, yeah, I want to be the top dog in the numbers, but I don't want to be the guy at the top that can't ask for help or, hey, can you do this for me? So anytime I find a new trick to gain followers or get graphics or, do merchandise, it's like, yeah, I'll show you what I do. And then you take it from there. Just for instance, my buddy Mike D, he got excited and motivated to start podcasting again just by coming on my show, and I do graphics for him. He's working on projects. I'm helping him with names, logos, and yeah, I got a million other things to do, but I want to see him succeed just like I'm succeeding. So yeah, it's like, all right, let's get you to the next level. You know what I mean? So,
yep.
But one more question here, then I'm going to have Megan fire away at those questions she brought for us today. Do you have any inspirations that you watched or now watch with your style or your fandom? Who are some of the women that you kind of gravitate towards just for being a fan or, kind of, use as an inspiration for your moves?
So originally my first was China.
Okay.
As I'm hoping you can see anyways, you can kind of tell how I come walking out, because China, she just walks out and she demanded that.
So that's why I like you. That's what it is. Okay.
She demanded that audience without even like saying it. She just showed up and be like, I'm here. This is what I'm doing here. Like it or not, I'm gonna do it anyways. Like that was her attitude. She didn't care who was in that ring, but the same mentality as I got. So that China would be one, Bull Nakano would be another one.
Okay.
She was a tough woman, that one. And obviously recently it would have been Rhea Ripley. So
okay.
Those are my three right there for women wrestlers. It would be China, Rhea Ripley, and Bull Nakano.
Very nice. All right, Megan, you are taking control of Friends of the Squared Circle here, folks. I'm going to just kind of hang out. I'm going to chime in here and there. But I just have to mention one quick thing. One person that I really like in the wrestling world who I feel like stands out is Piper Niven. She's breaking the mold of the model-esque of wrestlers, Nia Jax, as well as, Rhea, and Jordan Grace having that more muscular physique.
Jordan, she's awesome.
And they are breaking molds for your typical female wrestler. And I always think it's great to see them, getting the title shots, being the champions, as well as Tessa Blanchard being that first world champion there for TNA, breaking barriers just like China did with the Intercontinental Championship. But I'm going to sit back and Megan's going to fire away here for you. And here we go.
All right. So let's see here. Sorry, I have like a mile-long list of questions, Nicole.
Hey, we're here to hang out and talk wrestling. So
these are all over the map too. Like, some are going to be kind of like questions Cal's been asking you. Some of them super just bing bong, just like off the walls, been stuff bong, like super squirrel. But yeah, anyways, Nicole, you know super me. That's squirrel. How I am. That's how I am. So first off, Nicole, this is a pretty generic question. Who inspired you to step in the ring and start doing what you do?
Some people may know that have known me long before I even started wrestling. I was actually a manager of my daughter's father. He's the one who actually got my foot in the door because I didn't, we all know about the brand names of WWE now, but back then, we all knew about the big names. We didn't know about the independent circuit though. So when me and him were together, he actually took me in as a manager, and that opened my eyes to the independent circuit. And I thought it was pretty cool. So I was like, oh, I didn't know this was here. So then, after I had my daughter and things kind of, broke off, didn't see him again. But I had my daughter, a mutual friend of ours, his name Bia, MG Bia. He actually would check up on me from time to time, and he's like, "Hey, let's go out, let's go work out." I'm thinking a regular gym, just weights, everything else. No, he took me to the school that I started off at, and yeah, so my journey honestly started because technically MG Bia. And I thank him every time. He keeps telling me, "Don't do that to me. Stop it. It's pissing me." He's a huge help, honestly, because wrestling has saved me in a lot of ways that people don't realize, and I thank him every single day because of him and wrestling and my daughter, of course, I'm still sitting here in front of you guys. So
Awesome.
I thank him and Sarge all the time. They're big parts of my life and a part of my history. Excuse me, my history with wrestling. So
Right on. So I'm like, again, bing bong squirrel time.
Super Squirrel.
Super Squirrel. That's new logo, Cal. Let's get on it. Okay.
Perfect. I like it.
Super Squirrel Lavelle, the Super Squirrel MPW. No. So you were part of a very important show that I hosted with Maine Premier Wrestling back last weekend. Again, thank you for doing that. It really meant a lot to me to have you there. I gotta ask though, because I didn't choke up much. I mean, obviously I choked up at a few parts that were like necessary, but nothing choked me up more than seeing your daughter walk you to the ring. Tell me how that made you feel.
Honestly, it's been a long time since she's actually been at a show of mine. And that was her first trip actually going to Maine, let alone a long drive like that. So
she was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, so like on my TikTok, if you have TikTok, follow me on Nicole Matala. But there's a video actually one of my friends took of me. Now in the beginning, you'll see me mentally, I'm starting to slip into that warrior mode, and
then you grabbed her hand
in my head and stuff like that. So like once the drums start playing, my my spirit starts waking up, and I start getting in that mode. And then once she started stepping, she stepped right through the curtains and said, "Mommy." That's when that kind of calmed down and I settled down and I could breathe again. She's always been that rock of mine, because I don't really have much like that in my life. So she's literally my everything, and she's the one that kind of keeps me grounded. And she's my happy place. She's my, like I said, my everything, and I love her so much. So the fact that she was there meant everything to me, and being able to share that moment with her, going through the curtain, and
it was such a powerful entrance too. Like Cal, there's videos of it. I mean,
we'll definitely have to share it up on the Facebook.
Yeah, she had the war paint on and everything, and then she walked Mama to the ring and then went and chilled with my kids for the rest of the night. So it was so amazing to see that. Like there was a few big moments at that show that really made my like permanent goosebumps, and made me choke up a little bit. And that was one of them, that because it was a match it was a dream match of a friend of mine that the show was for. I remember telling me that she wanted to see Nakoma versus Isana, the Suplex Sweetheart, and I made it happen. You know what I mean? So it was super cool. But anyways, okay, something less emotional now. Aside from your gear, what is your ultimate gear bag staple?
Ooh,
so like a must-have that I have to have in the gear bag. There's a few. Besides my gear, I would probably say Sage.
And
which is probably why.
That's okay.
Which is probably why you always smell.
Should have wrote like
my bag.
top.
Yeah, so it's Sage.
I'm not gonna lie, most wrestlers are pretty stinky, but like when I go by you, I'm like, "Oh, girl, you smell good. You smell cleansed."
Blessed. But yeah, no, it's Sage and my choker. I always need my choker. It's something I've had that choker literally for almost the full 10, almost actually I want to say 8 years. I've had that choker. So that thing's basically like built into me at this point. But so definitely my paints, my choker, and my sage. I would definitely say that would be my that and my moccasins, because I can't wrestle barefoot. I mean, I'm part Samoan, but that's not my thing. I need my moccasins. But yeah.
Yes.
I'd have so many snacks in my bag.
Well, I can't fit my nachos in there, so I can't do that.
No. And it's funny because like Nakoma's always like, yo, if there's nachos there, I'm in. Like we had walking tacos at the last show that we had and stuff. But it's funny because I tell her, I'm like, I swear, next show you're working at, I'm just going to go to Sam's Club and get like the mega jar of queso and like the 3-foot tall bag of chips. And we're just going to be like, all right, cool. Our matches are over. We're going to go eat nachos and just chill and like, talk smack and critique.
They had nachos. I was happy.
Yeah, that's right. We did have nachos at Indian Island. That's right.
Get that. Yep.
All right. Speaking of Indian Island, what I'm kind of doing here is I'm going back in time here, like with matches that I've experienced with you in the past. So going back to Indian Island, you were the tag team partner of one Dirty Dango. How did that feel? Like, explain, like, I mean, I was like, as soon as I heard his music hit, I heard Tool's Sober come across the speakers. I started shaking. My knees turned to jello. I'm like, oh, Dango's coming out. Oh my God. And then your music hits and I'm like, oh crap. Like, it's like, I need a chair. Like, it was
honestly intense. That was such an amazing experience. Like, I get to meet him in the back. Like, because usually when you see like big names, you're afraid to, not I won't say afraid, but like you want to give them their space because you don't know like how they are. People are like, give me my space. But like he was very friendly, he was very cool, very straightforward, and like just talking about like he was asking me questions like, what do you do, for movesets, whatever, like what. So I was like, well, I'm a powerhouse, and he's like, all right, cool. I was like, you don't want to? No. He's like, no, I believe in you. You're good. He's like, all right, so we'll do this and this. I'm like, all right, very simple. And he believes in the workers, which is awesome. And the fact that he was able to believe in me, and like after hearing him go out, I was like, this is really happening. I was like, I'm legit tag teaming with him. And then once my music came out, doing my thing, rah rah, and I got in the ring, and he's like, good job, kid. Getting over like that. And I was like, I giggled inside my key. Like my is like.
That reminds me of the first time that I ring announced ever, and Tony Atlas was on the bill. Tony.
I love Tony. Yeah.
Well, I remember he's like, I need a microphone. So I'm like, oh. So I bring him the mic and I hand it to him like it's on a silver platter, and he goes, "You do a mighty fine job, Miss Prama." And I'm like, oh my God, like, because my original stage name was Meg Primer, because I took my husband's wrestling name as my last name. So, but he's like, you doing a mighty fine job, Miss Primer. And I'm like, Tony Atlas just said I did a good job. Whoa, like, it was just like exciting and stuff. But then when I met Dango too, I had the same like giggly feeling. As I'm like, oh, Dango, nice to meet you. Shook his hand. He goes, oh, call me. I think his name's Kurt, I believe is what his name is. He's like, oh, just call me Kurt. And I'm like, no, like literally what I said.
No,
I never really call anyone by their first names. I think I rarely call Nakoma by Nakoma's actual name. Like, I'm like, it's Nakoma. And sorry, it's just there. Unless we are at a show and we're not on the bill, then she gets the government name from me. But
government name.
Government name.
Yeah, I got to work a vendor table right next to Dango at one of the last shows that I did, and got to talk to him for like a half hour. He wanted to know who everybody was, what the promotions around town were, and I was like, oh, well, I'll wait till intermission to get a picture with him, and then I never got one, like an idiot. But I got that experience again, just like hanging out with Teddy Long, getting to just talk with them like a normal human being, and just kind of watch what he was doing and picking up on his little tricks that he spilling out. So, and he had a great match. I'll have to see if I can find it for you, ladies. With one of my personal favorites up here is Devon Monroe. He reminds me a lot of Sonny Kiss, and those two had a phenomenal match that night. So back to you, Meg. You're in charge here. I'm just hanging out, adding my 2 cents today.
No, we like stories. Like Nicole and I, we're pretty big like into stories and stuff. So like, please spill. You know what I mean?
I'll chime in when I feel like I'm needed.
Okay, so weird question, but do you have any pre-match traditions or superstitions? Like, I know you mentioned Sage earlier. Do you do any of that like prior or?
Usually I'll do it like at the hotel beforehand, just so I'm not like around other people's energies and stuff like that. And plus, not everyone likes sage. Not everyone likes the smell. So like sometimes I'll sit at my hotel outside, kind of just, just cleanse myself, kind of breathe, let everything like just mellow out. What I do as a routine is once I get my gear on, I'll put my choker on, I do my face paint, and then after that, once it's time for me to get into the gorilla, I start getting ready. In my head, I'm playing those drums in my head. That's the heartbeat. Once I start getting that going, I'll start, doing a little dance. I don't realize it, but I guess I end up zoning out. And my face will start slowly turning, and you'll see it in the video if you watch it on TikTok. He caught that, and like my face just slowly starts turning into something serious. Like, all right, I'm ready to go. So
I've seen it. I've seen it. I do too, though. Like, I mean, it's almost like as soon as the music hits, it's like almost like someone just pulls a veil off you. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, it's showtime. Let's go. Yeah. Like, as soon as I hear Neil say my name and I hear the first couple beats of my entrance music before I walk out, it's like, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, the boys rip the curtains open for me and out I go. But like, yeah, I've seen it on you. You know what I mean? Like,
because honestly, everyone's like, not everyone, but some people are afraid to approach me because of what they see through the entrance of like when I go out there, like I'm more like, let's go, blah, blah, blah. But then you go to talk to me, they're like, oh, like, this is not
like you come out like ready to like go to battle, and it's like, give me a hug, like after your match is over. Yeah, it's like you did such a good job. That's just how we do it. You know what I mean? It's just, but
yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of, getting that drum, getting the drums in your head and stuff like that, like really like channeling, what you're about to go do and getting to stepping and stuff. One of the favorite videos I've seen of stepping is, I think it was you that took it. One of our first show with Maine Premier Wrestling, we had Tatanka, WWE legend Tatanka was at the show. And he was skipping along to one of our guys comes out to Sick of You by Guar.
Yeah.
And he's skipping to Guar. Tatanka's skipping to Guar. Like, it was great. But anyway, sorry, I'm sidetracking. It was such an amazing time. How could I not?
I know.
What did it mean to you to be on that show and to finally meet, someone that's super important in the Native American like history for wrestling, like Tatanka? Like, I'm still like,
I still like even right, like I'm really excited right now just about to talk about it. But like, so for many years, many companies have promised, hey, I'm gonna bring Tatanka in. Why don't you wrestle for us? You can tag with him. And I'm like, when I first heard, I was like, yeah, I was like, oh sweet. But then over time, I'm like, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. So when they told me, I'm like, are you really gonna bring him in? He's like, yeah. He's like, I already got the plane ticket. He showed me proof that he actually did it. I'm like, wait, what? I was like, this is really happening. I was like, my eyes started tearing up because there's not many Native American or indigenous wrestlers in this business. So it's not like I have anyone to really go to, to ask questions about that kind of stuff. Like, how should I handle this? How should I go about this? whatever. And so I was excited. I was more I'm babbling right now. We're just talking about it. But when I first showed up, he wasn't there yet. So I went in the back. I'm starting to get ready. I got my gear on early. I was getting early, but I got my stuff on early, and
you're like one of the most prompt people at getting your gear on. Like, you're always like one of the first ones. Like, I'm not talking smack about my husband. I love him very much, but he's like,
okay.
Oh wow, doors are opening in 5 minutes. I guess I need to go get my gear on. And then he goes, and it takes him like 20 minutes just to lace his boots. You know what I mean? It's like, how? So, but yeah, like, sorry, I had to say that.
So yeah, I got my gear on, and I went to walk through the curtain, and I turned my head, like something told me, look this way. I turned, he's standing right there, and he points at me. He's like, there you are. And I'm like, oh. I was like, oh, what? I was like, hey. I was like,
hey.
That's how I reacted too. Like, John's like, come here, come here.
I just kept walking towards the ring. I'm like, he probably doesn't want to get bothered, but I was like, inside, I'm like, oh my god. And you know, Lewis, he was there. He's looking at me. He's like, you okay? I'm like, I'm trying to play it cool over here. I'm like, I'm trying to act like I know what I'm doing. You know, I'm trying to act all professional. You know, I'm about to go in the ring and just, you know, work out in there. You know, show the girl like some moves, stuff like that was in there that I wanted to train. So I kind of gave him his space. I figured he probably traveled along and whatever, you know, just let him do his thing. But then after him seeing me in the ring with the girl, showing her the typical bumps, stuff like the simple stuff, he came over and he started asking me questions, and I'm like, and just being able to talk to him, he's a big boulder. He's
a solid man. Yeah. And then that headdress is even bigger than he is. Like, oh, but that that made me. That's when it all hit me that it was real. I saw those feathers come out of the curtain, and I was like, oh, I'm like, oh my gosh, here he is. Like, because I don't hang out behind the scenes very much. Like, once the show starts, I'm out front. I'm at front of the house and stuff, and I'm like at the curtain. So I don't see what these people look like when they like are all geared up and stuff. Yeah. And I have vague memories of Tatanka like on TV. And then I saw it like his headdress come out first. I'm like, I swear, I should just have a chair by the curtain for these mark moments of mine, you know? So just be like, I need to take a seat. Hold on. But no, but I mean, I remember when John messaged you about Tatanka being on the show, and he goes, aw, I made her cry. And I'm just like,
I'm not gonna lie, I don't like crying. I don't cry. I legit cried. I legit cried when he told me that. And then after talking to him too.
Yeah. I was so amped when they said that you were on the show that Tatanka was on, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this is gonna be, and it was so a little bit of a history here, Cal. Our home venue is on an Indian reservation.
Okay.
And it's in the old Indian bingo hall on Indian Island in Old Town, Maine. And to have the presence of, you know, Nakoma there, my husband's Native American, a couple of our other wrestlers are natives, and my husband was raised on that reservation. So, like, it meant a lot to him. But then to have Nakoma, who is a strong female Indigenous presence, you know, which, and then Tatanka, it was the ultimate show. Sorry, here we are rambling along here.
Very good.
Go ahead. Bing bong, super squirrel.
Squirrel.
So, if you could go head to head with any female wrestler, whether it be late, independent, or professional, who would it be and why?
Ooh, that's
I'll play the Jeopardy music now.
Yeah, I know, right? I have a few.
A loaded question, and feel free to share those.
So, from the past, I would have picked either China and or Bull Nakano back then. Just because of our styles are pretty much the same, our attitudes are the same, so I feel like that would be like a battle. Like it would be like just bah, bah, bah. Like we would have gone crazy. Rhea Ripley.
I'd pay to see that.
And then Nia Jax. Those are mine right there. Definitely. Yeah. I would definitely love to be in the ring.
You and Nia have that, like, I'm a force to be reckoned with type vibe. Like, be like, noted, don't mess with this woman. Just drop off some nachos and walk away.
Drop off some nachos and walk
You
away.
okay there, Nicole? My hair. Slide these under the door.
I would too. For you, I would.
I can never get mad at you.
I'm gonna run out the curtain and be like, someone get this girl some nachos.
Run!
Louise, make yourself useful. Let's go. I would too. That's the thing. Okay. Let's see here. Tra-la-la. All right. So that's cool. I mean, I could see those matches happening. You and Bull Nakata. Woo! Damn. That would be something to see. All right. Let's talk a little bit about another awesome person you've met recently in your travels. You had a visit. I think it was you were down in Florida. You had a visit from Chief Littlefoot.
Yeah, Chief Littlefoot. Yep. So me and him, we follow each other on TikTok, and then because like you want to support other indigenous, workers, wrestlers, or businesses in general, whatever. And I thought it was cool. I was like, okay. I didn't know much about midget wrestling until someone showed me videos in the company, and I'm like, this is actually pretty cool. I was like, they do some crazy shows. Like, they're actually very, very good. And then I seen Chief Littlefoot. So I'm like, oh, I gotta follow him. So I messaged him. Not messaged him. I followed him. He messaged me. He's like, hey, what's going on? I was like, not much, you. And like, we just started chatting. We're just chatting up for like months. Like, we were just chatting up for months, getting to know each other. And he's like, oh, maybe one day, we should hang out one day. And I'm like, I'm down. I was like, our schedules are completely opposite, probably. I was like, well, he's like, well, he's on the other side of the world. I'm over here. I'm like, He's like, well, then he goes, well, I'm in Florida this weekend. I was like, oh, shoot, me too. I was like, where? So he's like, well, we got a show near where WWE is going to be, it's a few minutes from there. And I was like, well, I don't think I'm too far from there. And he ended up Ubering to the show that I was at to come see me. And I didn't think he was going to do that. So he went and popped up, gave a big old hug. We're chatting it up. Everyone was talking with him. He's a very down-to-earth person, very sweet, very kind. And he gave me the honor to braid his hair, because we don't just touch each other's hair. We get to ask permission because it's important to us. So he asked, he's like, hey, do you know how to braid? I was like, yes, I know how to braid. So he's like, do you mind doing it? So he takes his hair down. It is so long. I wish my hair was that long. It used to be super long.
It's like as long as he is tall.
Yeah, it's beautiful hair. So I started braiding it. We're chatting up some more. And he gifted me some earrings. And he also gifted me a hat, a T-shirt.
Nice.
And he's very nice and very talented. He sends me videos to say of his matches and everything. So that was a great experience. I got to meet him as well. And I'm hoping I get to meet other indigenous wrestlers as well. And we'll see what happens. So
yeah, I've messaged like 3 or 4 of the guys on there, and they're all like, yeah, I'll come on. And then I don't hear anything else.
Off of the little big brawlers,
the micro brawlers. Yep. I think it was Psycho's brother, Midget Man. He's got like 2 million followers. We had chatted back and forth, as well as Little Show. So if you can con him to come on a podcast here, Nakoma, I'll let you help guest hold. We'll get Megan in here. We'll have a good old time. It'd be great to
be the icing on the cake for that one. If Nakoma could get Chief Littlefoot on here, if I could get Ivar, he is the MC and ring announcer for the micro brawling company that Little Bigfoot runs, or not runs, sorry, works for. Like, it's funny. I actually take a lot of his style and intertwine it with mine. It's like Samantha Urban, Ivar, Howard Finkel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I probably have better luck getting Chief Littlefoot on here since we communicate. The other, I don't mean to be rude, but the other wrestlers from his company, I don't really know him like that. But Chief Littlefoot, I can definitely try and see if I can.
It's honestly just a matter of me, having the pair of whats to follow, to message. What? That's what she said earlier. I'm just going with it.
We'll figure that out later, but
Absolutely. Okay. You're on the road a lot, Nicole. What are your top 3 road trip staples? Aside from like your gear, you know, and like your car.
Snacks. But yeah, so the top 3 things I make sure I have is, besides my gear, is definitely food, because some of my travels are about 9 to 10 hours long sometimes.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and then I usually travel by myself too, so I gotta keep things that'll keep me busy, like, awake. So snacks, like healthy foods, drinks, like Gatorade, waters. I don't drink energy drinks. I try to not put that in my body. So besides snacks, I would say usually I'll bring my I love Stitch. If you don't know, the ones that do know, But
We know.
I usually have my stuffed animal Stitch with me. It helps. Like, not many people know this about me, but I do have anxiety. I do deal with PTSD from time to time. So having that weighted Stitch stuffed animal, it helps.
Mhm.
So having that with me, that, and let me think. I don't know. I just your typical supplies for travel would be probably the main thing. But I also have a fidget ring as well, that I wear on my finger. I don't always have it because I'm always all over the place. But usually I try to make sure I have it because it helps with my anxiety and stuff like that. So sometimes just when I don't have it on, I'm doing this with my fingers.
Okay,
because
I'm not gonna lie, I've seen you do that.
Yeah,
like I've seen you just be sitting there and doing that. I'm like, oh, cool, I do that too. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, right on.
But yeah, usually I'll have my Stitch, my snacks, and just your typical supplies for travel, and definitely some good music. So that's definitely a plus.
All right. Speaking of music, what song gets you amped up before a show? Or you got a specific artist, a playlist? I know I'm not gonna lie, I get amped up when I hear your entrance music, so I also know when I hear the drums, I need to make sure I'm like clear away from like the path that you're gonna be barreling in.
I'm just coming right out.
Well, there was our first MPW show. You were like a surprise guest, I believe. Yeah. You like did a run in. All of a sudden, I just heard the drums, and I'm like, "Oh crap! I gotta run!" Like, because you were.
I remember seeing you.
I was still in the ring, and I had to like get out real quick, and then I didn't have a path to get clear back to where I normally stand, so I had to go through the crowd, around the back of the crowd, and the whole time I'm running going, oh my god, it's Natalia or Nicole, like freaking out, you know what I mean? Like, yep. But that was good times. But yeah, sorry. So like, what gets you amped up, girl? Like,
so usually I'll try to listen to some indigenous music by like different groups, like Northern Cree. The song that I come out to is by Northern Cree. I know I'm not Cree, but they have good music as well. And that song, it's in general, just if you watch the video, it's very touching, and it just connected with me. So it just stuck, and I've been using it for years. But
it works for you.
Yeah. Superman is another indigenous musician. He actually makes his own beats and music and lyrics and stuff like that. I love the song called We Are One. That was actually almost going to be my entrance music at one point. Let me think. There's a lot. Let me think. I'm brain farting. I have it right at the tip of my tongue too. The Hallucination, which is a very, very popular. They have like lots of good music beats. Like it's not your typical drums or anything. It's like techno type mixed with indigenous.
Okay.
It's very hype. Like you gotta check it out. They have some amazing music as well. But yeah, like anything with a good beat that'll get you, going, moving. Like that's what I try to listen to. So definitely check those songs out, and musicians as well, and DJs.
Definitely.
Right on. I was gonna say, yeah, I might have to look some of those up because like your music totally gets me amped. Like right now, I'm kind of sucked into I just changed my entrance music for like the third time, but
okay, that's all right. We all do.
No, yeah, I was gonna say. Well, there's a joke going that my husband changes his gimmick and his entrance music like every 5 minutes. It's a running joke between him and Dylan Nix.
Okay.
But so and Dylan Nix. It's funny. Everyone at MPW that wrestles, I swear, has like an extra hat that they wear. Like JP O'Reilly's our media guy that does like all of our posters, our tickets, all that stuff, and then I do our social media stuff. But Dylan Nix, he's our sound guy too. Like he's the one that gets everyone's music all lined up. And I messaged him yesterday because I finally found a song that worked for me. And I'm just like, hi, I'm doing it again. Sorry. John, my husband picked up my first entrance music was by Megan Thee Stallion, and it was okay. And then the last show that we did was a fundraiser, so I went out to something by Machine Gun Kelly in honor of my friend that passed away, and then I just scored us tickets to go see the Smashing Pumpkins for our a belated wedding anniversary gift.
Yeah,
and Billy Corgan owns a wrestling company, owns NWA. I believe. Now he's the new owner of that. And they have a new song, and it's just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, that's it right there. It was on their show that they had talking about Billy Corgan owning a wrestling company and stuff. And like, that's it. That's my track right there. Unless I get a cease and desist letter from the guy. Yeah. This is my music. So I sent it to Dylan Nix. I'm like, sorry, third time's a charm, but so speaking of, different wrestlers, different hats, you recently went as heel for a show that you were in, and Cal, she looked totally badass. Like she was, oh my god, nightmare fuel in like the good ways. But like, so what is your favorite role to play, Nakoma? Are you a fan of being a baby face, or do you enjoy being a heel more?
See, the thing is, I've been a babyface literally almost my whole career. And many years, people have been asking me to turn heel. And I was like, no. I was like, because my journey was to try, obviously besides spread positivity and stuff like that, I want to spread awareness, by MMIW, which I can still do technically. But I just always felt like I could do more as a babyface. But then a part of me was like, you know what? I think it's time for a change. And, with what's going on and what has happened, recently, a lot of darkness has kind of been flooding me in some ways. So I'm like, this would be a good escape for me. This could be the dark side of Nakoma that needs to come out, that's been buried for so long. And I was like, maybe it's time to show people what that side of me is, that painful side, that hurt side, what it looks like, what it feels like. Maybe this is my time to let it out. It's time to let it out. And so Top Rope, they ended up, they started me off as a heel, but I came out as just Nakoma technically, because I'm just a vicious wrestler as is. I'm in there for business. So this is, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, people are still cheering me. I'm like, this is not supposed to happen. So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to show people what my dark side looks like. I was like, it's time to let it out. I'm done having it caged. I'm done hiding it. I was like, I need to let it out, because it's been scratching the insides of me for too long. It's been, digging away at my insides, and that pain needs to be let out. So once my music started playing, I'm hearing people going, yeah. And I'm like, no.
Not today.
I came through that curtain, it got quiet. And people were like, what happened?
To be a fly on the wall, to see that. Like, I saw the pictures, and it was like, I'm like, no. And I looked at my husband, I'm like, I think she went heel at this show. And he goes, really? And I'm like,
everyone was shocked, because everyone's been wanting it for years, and I've never done it.
It was something that I didn't know I needed in my life until I saw it. It was just like, holy crap. Like, all right, there she is. Like, let it out. Like, everything that you said you were trying to portray, I feel it. I see it. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it. So, I mean, but how much of a blast was that, though, to change roles and do the switcheroo on people?
Honestly,
Like,
I was scared. I was scared because that part of me, I myself it scares me because I don't like, because honestly, as you can see, I'm a happy person for the most part. Again, I've been through a lot in my life, and I'm still kind of facing my past and trying to heal myself from it. But a lot of people never seen that painful, hurt side of me, and I've never really opened myself up to people either. I kind of just let them see a little bit of me, just enough. You know, I didn't. I It's hard for me to let people close to me, and then I was like, you know what? I'm able to heal and move forward in life. I need to let this out. I need to face it face to face and just go. Just do it. Just let it out. So me being angry and the pain that I've felt for many years and recent, and it scared me seeing myself in those pictures because that's my pain I'm looking at in a picture form. And it felt good, and that's what scares me. That angry, hurt, I want revenge, I just want to havoc on everybody, everything, destroy everything in my way. The fact that I feel like I enjoyed that is what scares me. But everyone enjoyed it, so.
but it's also important to get that out, though, too.
Definitely, yep.
Because, you don't want to let that eat up away at you and just full on destroy you. You need to destroy it.
Exactly. So I feel like if I let it out now, because if you followed my journey from the very, very, very beginning, I wasn't Nakoma when I first started. I was, like I said in the beginning, when we first step through that door, it's a journey. We learn about who we truly are as a person. Because we think when we first start, we're like, oh yeah, I know who I am. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because you go through a mental journey, physical and emotional, and you challenge yourself to your limits. You find out what your limits are and you push by them. You try to push and push and push and push. And that's the journey that you need to go through, and that's what I did. So throughout my journey in wrestling, I was actually an NYPD officer when I first started. So I didn't know who I was. I thought I did. I didn't. Started off with that. Then I branched off to a heel gimmick, but it wasn't quite heel. It was just that painful side that I needed to get out at that moment.
Okay.
I was Roxy. My name was Roxy back then. I had a skeleton over my face, and I just came out. I just destroyed everybody in my path. I didn't care who you were, male or female. We still this day, but I just destroyed everything. And you can see the healing process from a good guy with a different gimmick. Then I was like, you know what? I don't feel right. I need to let this out. Boom, heel gimmick. Then went back, and I started going through a change again, and I found out who I truly was, which is Nakoma. I was here all along, but again, everyone has that dark pool in them that they try to keep buried deep inside. And with a lot of stuff that's been going through and the process I'm going through with healing, there it is again. So I figured it's time to let it out full force, see where it goes. So
it's strange. I mean, like, obviously your story is, different than anyone else's, but you wouldn't believe how many times I've heard people basically say, like, wrestling helped me. Wrestling saved me.
Saved me. Yep.
My husband, myself even, like, I, as you know, Nakoma and Cal, like, I married into this industry. So, and I'm glad that I did, because, I probably still wouldn't be here if I didn't,
I wouldn't have met you.
I know, I wouldn't have met you either.
I'm glad I met you.
You guys.
And that's just like, some of the wrestlers that I've had on, one wrestler is, advocating for PTSD, wrestling is his escape. We have wrestlers with autism that are trying to break the stereotypes. Just like our friend and fellow wrestler from the UK, with his ailments, he's out there trying to change the perspective of wrestling. And it's just so great how it brings people together. And I will use the pun, the friends. I've met a lot of great people just by doing this podcast, and a lot of great people just by going to wrestling shows. I told you off camera, Nakoma, like I got that reach of like 32 states right now, 5 different countries. And then hopefully next year when I'm traveling, I can hit up Maine and, eventually see a show up there and see the independent scene in Maine. Because I've never been to Maine. It'd be pretty sweet to get up there.
Oh.
I'd like to try real seafood and all that stuff versus the processed stuff that we get at the Walmart here. But,
Right?
having those connections throughout wrestling is like none other. I always say we could all disagree on the first match. I like Seth Rollins. You guys like Roman Reigns. But then the next match, we're both cheering for the same person. And it's a lot better than a lot of sports where you're just constantly bickering over the Cowboys or the Packers. You know what I mean?
So I'm down to my last. I know that the time's kind of building. I'm down to my final 2 questions finally, guys. Like, woohoo. All right.
Oh, thank gosh. No, I'm kidding.
Sorry. No, actually, I'm not sorry because these 2 questions are actually pretty good ones.
They better be like over the top, otherwise I'm hitting in. No, I'm kidding.
So, Nakoma's really been a staple for Maine Premier Wrestling. A lot of folks love to see her when she comes up. She's been you've only not been on one show that we've had, one, out of the 4 we've had so far. So, I mean, she's there. You hear women's wrestling, Nakoma's there. You know what I mean? She's on the poster. She's on the tickets. The girls are, the little girls in the crowd are like, oh, yeah, that girl, and all excited, But so I'm going to brag about Nakoma here for a second. Our show that we just had on June 28th, Nakoma was in our first Maine Premier Wrestling Women's Championship qualifying match.
Yep.
Guess who advanced on to the next round? Nakoma. So, as you know, Nakoma, this August, you will not be competing at our King of New England show that we're having.
Mm-hmm.
But there will be 2 other young ladies that you have. I know one at least you have worked with in the past. The Spitfire Jessie Nolan.
Yep.
Versus this is the first time that we booked her, so she's making her debut at MPW. Taylor One Shot.
Okay. Yep.
Pretty badass wrestler. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've seen her photos. I've been creeping.
I've been seeing her.
Yes,
her
and she is. I won't divulge in details, but she's a very, very strong, powerful female figure.
Allegedly.
It's booking her was a pretty big deal. A lot of the wrestling companies up there are really we're very LGBTQ supporters, and to have her on our show really means a lot. When I found out that we finally booked her, I may have marked out a little bit, let out a little happy squee because I'm all about that power, like girl power. Sorry, sound cheesy, but cool. We got a bunch of really awesome, hard-hitting guys. We've had a lot of strong male talent. Heck, our heavyweight champion's called the Human Monster Truck, Perry Von Vicious. Yeah, that's enough. Cal, we'll touch base on that another time. Heck, if we could get him on here, he'd blow your mind.
He zooms out if he's big as a monster truck.
Yeah, One Shot. I've been seeing her posted everywhere, and I'm not gonna lie, I would love to be for her. So I mean, if whatever happens, during that show, I'm not gonna lie, a part of me kind of wishes that she's gonna.
Y'all
win.
can share nachos after you beat her.
I don't share my
nacho party.
I may like people, but no one messes my nachos. No one touches my nachos.
No, don't touch them. I mean, I remember we were talking once about doing a comedy bit where someone messes with her nachos and then she just opens a can of whoop ass or something like that. I don't think that was like the first MPW show, but let me reel it back in here because like super squirrel time. So Nakoma, this is a big question. What would it mean to you if you were crowned Maine Premier Wrestling's first women's champion?
Honestly, I'd be beyond honored, especially if it's, for your company, for Maine, for the indigenous people. I would be more than honored to support and to represent. I mean, your company is an amazing company. You guys do a lot for the community, which is what I'm about. And I love that you also support the indigenous people as well. You're on Penobscot Nation and you have them bring their, actually, I actually spoke to some of them, and the way they run things and just how close knitted everything is and how much they support each other just makes it even better. So if I'm able to wrestle there or anywhere in Maine in general, and I'm able to be crowned, that would mean the world to me, because now I can take that and show the world this is what we're capable of. The indigenous people, the Native American women, we're capable of doing anything we put our mind to. And I'm here. I'll be more than happy to show it and prove it.
And a little fun fact here. I actually just made the decision myself because obviously being the ring announcer, I know who's going over. I know who's not. I've actually chosen obviously I didn't think of this until after you won the qualifying match in June. I don't want to know who's going over. Like I will announce them in and announce them out, but I want to be there to see the ref count 1, 2, 3, and whoever's on top is whoever's on top. I want to have that Samantha Irvin moment when Cody Rhodes won the belt finally, when he finished his story.
Yeah, I seen that.
That's what I want. I want that energy.
Yeah.
When the women's champion is crowned, because that is a huge deal to me. I've like I said, who my husband is, what his role is in the company. I'm like, psst, we need more women, psst, we need a women's champion, and then I'm like, hey, can we maybe next year work to have women's tag team champions?
There you go.
I'm setting, I put these bugs in his ear. Half the time he just flicks them out, but but yeah, that's awesome. I know. Yeah, I'm so anxious and giddy to see how this story, this road to that belt is gonna, who's gonna represent our company, who's going, you know what I mean? Who's gonna wear that belt with pride. But my final question though, okay, for you, Nakoma, is, what would be the golden piece of advice that you would give any woman showing interest in being in the wrestling industry?
The advice I would give any woman in the wrestling industry or trying to get into the wrestling industry is just do it. Don't question yourself. You're more than capable of doing anything put your mind to. We are just as strong as any man in this business. We may have to work 10 times harder, but we're all capable of working that 10 times harder, even 100 times harder. If you have the heart and the mind, the soul for it, go for it. Keep driving through. Don't let anyone put you down, because there's going to be a lot of haters in there. There's going to be a lot of people that are not going to believe you because you're being a female. But again, we may not carry a pair down there, but we have these for a reason, and they're a lot bigger. So keep pushing forward. You got this. So definitely just do it.
Pushing forward, grow a big set. Got it.
Yep.
Okay. No, but that's awesome. It's true though. You really do just have to go and do it.
Exactly.
I make the joke, oh, I'm 100 pounds and 10 years too late. But guess what? I still got my foot in the door and did the thing.
We come in all different sizes.
Exactly.
Shapes, never matter. No matter.
I make that joke though, just because it's I'm old. So but no, that's awesome.
Our journey starts when we choose it to.
Exactly.
Right.
So over an hour later, Cal, I'm done.
Alrighty, well,
all night, but
yeah, we could do this all day. I love to talk, as you know, Megan. All right, Nakoma, where can the people find you? We will put those social medias up as well on Friends of the Squared Circle, but where can they find you?
You can find me literally anywhere. I got TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and now it's called X. So all you have to do is type in Nicole Matala, and I'll pop up. You can always message me as well. I have merch. I hand make my merch. I do jewelry.
Nice.
I do cups. I do hats. I do literally everything. I do a lot of beadwork as well. And you can order custom stuff, pictures even. If you're at a show and you see my pictures and you weren't able to purchase it, feel free to message me. I'm more than happy to ship them out. But yeah, you can message me just to talk too. I don't bite, I mean, sometimes, but that's okay. So, but yeah, you know,
a family show, kids.
And I'll definitely try to reply as best as I can. So, yeah. Perfect.
And we'll get, like I said, we will get those social medias up on the page there, so people can know where to find you. Meg, I know you got some good stuff coming up here. We're going to flash that logo first. You want to tell us where we can find you as well as Maine Premier Wrestling, and then we will promote that event, and then we will close up shop today.
So you can find myself, Meg Lavelle, on Facebook, and I do a lot of the TikToks as well for Maine Premier Wrestling, a lot of Meg Lavelle exclusives. That's all I have for right now for that, but obviously, like, I'm gonna start getting more tech savvy, get the the X and the Instagram and all whatever, the Snapchats. But the Snapchats. Maine Premier Wrestling, though, can be found on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and a Twitter. Yes, or X. Sorry,
whatever you want to call it.
It's gonna be Twitter.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can find us on all those socials underneath MPW or Maine Premier Wrestling. Also, too, on the Maine Premier Wrestling Facebook, there is constant updates and promos where you can find wait, there's Nakoma, click on her, name, and it brings you to all Nakoma stuff. Johnny Primer, Perry Von Vicious, whoever. Our new tag team champions, the Dirt City Murder Crew, everyone's there. Like, we share everything. So anyone can find anyone. So also, too, if you go on our Facebook page, you can also be updated on our King of New England tournament that's coming up in August. Boom, right there. 30 men, one winner. Who's it going to be? And the winner of this gets a title shot for the Maine Premier Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. So I'm really anxious to see who it's going to be.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not even gonna be there, but I'm definitely gonna be trying to hey, can you shoot a video and see what's going on? I want to know what's going on. Let me know.
I have a couple wrestlers' wives actually in Nakoma that are gonna be filming and taking pictures and stuff for those who can't make it. If I could, I would be shooting the whole thing the whole time, but
awesome.
There's no way. You've seen me. I can barely hold a mic and drink water at the same time. So, but yeah. So yes, Facebook and all those, the main social media platforms. Type in Maine Premier Wrestling or MPW. We're going to be right there.
Perfect. Look at that.
I just got these in.
Merch plug.
Yep. So these just came in. I'm signing up for 25. So again, you can always hit me up on the social medias if you're interested in little stuffed animals for your children or for you guys as well who collect. It's been a while since I had these, so definitely hit me up if you're interested.
Yo, those are cool.
Yeah, I remember having a few as a kid that friends would let me borrow and be like, I really want one of these Wrestle Buddies, and now they're like $100 when they were 20 when I was a kid. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Right.
All righty, folks. That's another episode of Friends of the Squared Circle. I'm your host, Crander Q, a.k.a. my real name, the #1 beard in podcasting. That's a self-proclaimed title, so no one can take away from me because I made it myself. But if you want to be like these ladies on a future episode, again, check us out on Facebook at Friends of the Squared Circle. Send us a message today, and we will get you on a future episode. It's your boy, Crander Q. Crander Q out.